Good morning and welcome back. I will be your host for the morning. My name is Amelie Starchild. And the show is Who Am I? Actually, my name is not Amelie Starchild. But I'm not going to tell you what my name is because my name does not matter. I am a human being on planet Earth in the early part of the 21st century. And that's all that really matters. Sometimes I will mention things that sort of allude to my specificity, but largely we're going to talk about a space that we all share. Who am I? Who are we? Who are we structurally? Who are we cosmologically? Who are we collectively? Who are we individually? Who are we mathematically? Who are we abstractly? Who are we fundamentally? What's the field that we are embedded in, that we swim in? How does it work? How does this divine matrix operate to connect us together? And how can a better understanding of all these things help us figure out the problems that we're facing on planet Earth right now? And how do we understand ourselves? What's the object of the exercise? Where are we going? Where did we come from? All of these questions. I'm not necessarily going to answer them because I don't know the answers to all things. But we're going to get into a non-resistant space here, like the space of your own mind, where you're just mulling things around, chewing on things, and you're not pushing back at anything. We're just musing, and perhaps that's an advised word to use. Musing. We're going to offer up the morning to the muses and see where we get. Our aircraft is going to take off from the planet's surface, and we're going to be flying through the cosmos of ideas for the next hour and a half to 2 hours. It's probably going to be closer to an hour and a half this morning because, life intervenes sometimes. I got to stop for a minute and see my husband onto his golf tournament. Yes, indeed, his back is getting better. And it might interrupt my thought flow. I may not be able to come back and do any more minutes after that. So we'll just see how it goes. What's the framework we're going to be working with? All of these things that I said we're going to be talking about, it's all in reference to source energy. What is source energy and how does it work? What is the energy field that connects us and how does it operate? How does it function? And what kinds of things do you need to know simply to help your life work out better? And then we have another aspect of the agenda too, because I believe very firmly in my heart that an understanding of these things, an understanding of source energy, is going to get humanity to clean, free energy for anyone, anywhere. It will save us. And, I actually have faith that an answer is findable. It's almost like humanity has given up, has decided, I know we haven't given up, but generally speaking, we don't really understand. We don't have faith collectively. And we aren't just leaning that way joyfully, knowing there's an answer, open to finding it, expecting it to be there, and then just go find it. But that's not the attitude we have. We don't expect to find it. We doubt that it's there. We don't know these things, and we should. We should have more faith in the universe. The universe is actually a great solvable cryptogram. It's a great winnable video game, but you never really win and you never really lose because it's never really done. But, there's chapters and it keeps going. And you might lose your avatar, But you can always come back. You can do whatever you want. You are the Planck field. You are. So this is how I divide the universe. Ultimately, I back it up to this. It's form and formless. And there is a fundamental place where you could say this. Now, the formless is not entirely formless, but it's formless enough. It's the Planck field, the quantum oscillators. And it's a restless sea of roiling Plancks that is just kind of jiggling. When it organizes, we call it matter. When it isn't organized, we call it space. But it's all the zero-point energy field. And the reason they call it the zero-point energy field is because when it's resting, when it's not organized, it's still, well, I don't know why they call it the zero-point energy field, but it's because they're talking about its state at its resting level, at the 0 point. But at the 0 point, this energy field is enormously energetic. It's roiling with energy. It just appears to be not organized at that level. It doesn't look like it's probably an artifact of the sample. At that level, it appears that it isn't organized, but there's probably layers bigger than that it's contained in that are organized. And anyway, I don't want to digress. Who are we? Who are we? Well, we are made of Plancks. And the universe divides in the form and the formless. And it's all one thing. So it's both form and formless. And what you actually are is a formless collective field of desire and intention moving forward through time, which is kind of that's not really what we're doing, because time doesn't really have anything to do with anything, because, well, it has something to do with something, but it's not, as there's only here and now, or there's only now, at least, and there's everywhere, or there's only everywhere and now. And through the everywhere, hold on one second. Whatever is happening, it's all happening now. And the information of a minute ago, you think of it as back there. Well, all of the information of there is right here with you now. So you don't really have to go back there to get the information. You just follow the now. I know that was a little convoluted, and I'm not sure if anybody really realizes what I'm talking about. But so you are the formless at your ultimate level. And so if you go and find your way back to the spirit that you are, you will find that the true you that you are is love and joy. Your desires are things like beauty, clarity, efficiency, justice, all the noble words you've ever heard. Well, the reason that, and you don't have to follow these things like a goody two-shoes doing what somebody else says is best for them, like in Sunday school or your mother or whatever. These things just are who you are. So just go there, not because you ought to or you should. As a matter of fact, you should quit shoulding on yourself. There is no should, except for what you should do is to try to find your alignment with yourself. Ultimately, that's where the secret of all success lies. We are a binary set. We are a binary being. On the one hand, you are your physical self. It's sort of like the form, right? You are your physical self. You know that. You have a lot to do with this physical form anyway. It's intimately personal to you. But who you really are is the formless animating this form. And a recognition of that, an identity with that, an identification with that helps you weather the storms of real life. And so since you are your physical body too, You do want to weather physical life. You want to be successful on this physical plane. That's what you're here to do. Is to have experienced life at this density and at this experience of it. But you know what? The more fast that you hold to who you really are in a not specific way, in a general way, I guess is what not specific is. The more you hold to that, the more successful all your intentions are going to be on the ground. Everything that you do, if you do it consciously connected to the rest of the field and consciously knowing that, everyone is really, try to connect with them on the highest level, or just don't connect with them. Don't worry about it. If you can't connect with them on a high level, don't worry about it. Worrying about things is what drags stuff down, is what turns you backwards. We're going to talk about our configuration. We're going to talk about why I think that we can get off of fossil fuels and on to the true abundance that I believe human beings are meant for. We are abundance creating machines. We are improvement discovering machines. We are joyful, powerful creators of reality. Our very gaze has power. Our focus and our attention, how we focus and what we put our attention on, is so very, very important. You can't just sloppily focus around and, glom onto the characteristics of all of the things that you do not like and hold there and hope to end up transforming the world around you in any kind of positive way. I mean, ultimately there is a long process that you are still aiding and abetting when you look at the bad stuff. I shouldn't shorthand myself. When you gaze at the world and focus on the negative aspects, that's what the problem is. Now, when you are looking at something in the physical world and it is your intention to change things in a positive way, to assist things in leaning towards the positive direction, perhaps is what you're doing, and that is your intention, you can allow yourself to realize aspects that you don't like as you try to shift things, as it is your intention to move things more in the direction of what you like. That's allowed. But it isn't all that helpful for all of us if you have locked your focus onto all the aspects of the world around you that you do not like, and you're just banging the drum of it. Because what you're doing is we are transmitters and receivers. I said before that we're a binary system. We are a formless entity driving a physical avatar. And the physical avatar that you are driving is one that you have coalesced into of your own accord. No one issued this avatar to you. You weren't assigned this avatar. Although you know that you are with the group, you know that you are matrixed in with the rest of the pattern of the field around you. And so at your ultimate core, even though no one put you in this body, the field around you undoubtedly influenced how you chose this body that you came into. You coalesced into it. It is you. It is yours. You are a sacred, powerful, blessed. I'm trying to think of words that sound like member of the team, member of the club, like belong here, sanctioned, I don't know, all those kind of words. We belong here. If you're here, you belong here. Welcome. Welcome to planet Earth. You can't subtract anybody, even the ones I would like to subtract. You can't subtract them. And even all those extra ones out there, those millions and even billions of them that you don't know, that are just eating up this finite pie. You can't subtract those either. And guess what? It's not a finite pie. It's an infinite pie. And we could make a real Eden of abundance here if we really understood who we were and how to be our positive selves and link up with one another, with what we know, with what we feel, with what we love, with what we care about. So what do we care about? Well, let's talk about that for a minute. What's the object of the exercise? Who are we? Where did we come from? Why are we here? Where are we going? What are we doing? All of that stuff. What's the object of the exercise? Well, it's coming down to, I think it's becoming more clear that the actual object of the exercise is to understand who we are so we can hit not only sustainability, although that really sounds really good too, but not just sustainability, but joyful sustainability, so that we're not just enduring, we're not just surviving, we're not just clinging to life in a desperate kind of way, trying to figure out how to, get enough starships together so we can get this civilization off of this crazy planet and go somewhere else where we can figure it out. Which is just so stupid. So stupid. If we can't make it here, we can't make it anywhere. And the idea is not, well, we filled this one up and now we're overpopulated here, so we've got to go find someplace else and start over. The problem is that, well, there's so many problems there that I just don't know what to do with that one. The fact is the answer is not to pull off of planet Earth and go populate Mars or something until we overpopulate that. And then by that time, maybe we'll have figured out somewhere else to go. This is the only planet we've got for now, people. We're going to be able to visit other planets, but not until we understand the universe that we are in and how it works. I think I know. It's hard to know where this falls into those three categories. But the fact that we are holographic and that the whole universe is holographic, there is a holographic mass solution, and the mathematics has been done for it to show you how the whole thing is holographic, how it's reflecting itself at different scales through orders and factors, and all of the Planck field of every proton is reflecting the information of all of the rest of the protons in all of the universe. And I believe it is updated now. It is happening every Planck instant as all of the parts, as this Planck field of space-time jiggles together. Source energy is actually everything interacting with everything all the time. Now. It's the cosmic jiggle of space-time as this reverberating, vibrating oneness is transferring all of its information, both small and large, across the scales. And it's flowing on an energy stream. And it's moving in a forward direction too, as it is learning about itself, as it's understanding its own structure, as it's, in different places, in different ways, right? Ultimately, is it ever really discovered? Not really, because we're all beings that, wink in and out, and we come to know, and then we lose our avatars and we forget for a minute. And then it's like this cosmic game of hide and seek going on. But right now, here on planet Earth, we are in a moment where we are waking up. We are discovering who we are. We are sort of coming into ourselves. We've been collecting information. We've been working on the different methods of transferring information across the consciousnesses, between ourselves, if you will. And I noticed this when I was young. I was growing up I was born in 1960, so that tells you how old I am and I like being born in 1960 because every decade of my life falls evenly on a decade of humanity's existence, the way we figure time, the way we measure time right now. So, the 60s were that part of my childhood, and then the 70s was my teen years, preteens, and then through to 20, and then the 80s were my 20s, and the 90s were my 30s, and all that. It's all very interesting how it aligns up. It helps me to think more, I don't know, it's just clearer to me to be able to see it that way. I noticed when I was younger that it seemed to me like the answers to all the questions now lay around me. Now, when I grew up, there weren't computers, so you couldn't just tappity-tap access it in that way. But you could see all the tens of thousands of tomes, books and such, laying around, newspapers and encyclopedias, and, it seemed like there was knowledge around for me to just pick up and go look at in reference to everything from psychology to religion and history and it seemed like the answers to a lot of technology and science and mathematics, it was all everywhere, just laying them around for anyone to pick up. And it seemed to me like we had lost our questions. We had all the answers, but we had forgotten our questions. It's sort of like what Douglas Adams, is poking fun at in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where the computer that has been working on the answer to the questions of life, the universe, and everything, after working on it forever and ever and ever, spits out triumphantly the answer. Boom, 42. And everybody goes, what? What was the question? So anyway, we've forgotten the questions, but there's the answers. And now we're at a moment in time where the internet has done this thing to our sense of ourself and who we know and what we know. And now, throw in the gurus of our time, an open mind, a seeking heart, the law of attraction, the mathematics of Nassim and his unified physics, and you put it all together and you go, whoa, this is really interesting. And wouldn't it be cool if people would get off the effing negative, people, and start looking at this positive thing over here? Because I'm telling you, this is the answer. This is the answer to our problems. We just have to consciously be who we are instead of unconsciously be who we are. But now the question is, who am I? Who am I? So there's a lot of different ways to answer it. We're going to answer it not in just one way. Every day we're going to attack this as many ways as we can. All morning long. I've been tackling it. I'm going to continue to tackle it. One thing that I haven't talked about for a while has to do with this thing that we have. It's a part of ourself. It's a part of our equipment that most people don't really understand how it works. And interestingly enough, it falls into the purview of this show because it lands on the other side of the words, I am fill in the blank. How you answer that question, I am fill in the blank. Who am I? Well, I'm this, I'm that. As you are answering the question, what's on the other side of that is a plug. It's a plug inside of you that's plugging into different things, you know? I am, so remember I said that we are form and formless? The thing is what I have discovered is that the most appropriate permanent place for that plug to go is over on the formless side. When you plug that I am into the world of form side, remember the world of form side, by the rules, by the law of the universe number 5, by Bashar's reckoning. That's rule number 5. Everything changes except for the laws. And so when you plug that I am plug into any part of the rolling manifestation, the physical universe, you create a kind of uncertainty, a kind of precarious perch, because and actually you can put that in there. You can put that in there, but you have to put it lightly, and you can't attach. You have a permanent plug that you can permanently plug right into source energy. And it's right there in your I am. When you plug it into other things, like say if you say, I am the world's greatest buggy whip maker of all time, and I have made my mark this way, I have made my fortune this way, I've made my reputation this way. That is who I am. That might have been great back in 1860. But come along 1900, that identification is starting to be a precarious place to have put your plug. Now, that's an analogy I just came up with just this morning, just now, as a matter of fact. It tags on to other things I've thought of before, but that's kind of the thing. The world around us changes. If your self is that you are a liver surgeon, you know, I don't know that there is such a thing as a liver surgeon. You're a surgeon, maybe specializing in endocrinology or some sort of functions of something that involves the liver. Is that endocrinology? I don't know. I don't pretend to be an expert in everything. I don't pretend to be an expert in many things. And I'm only an expert in some things because I think about them a lot. And I have worked up on lining them up so that they line out logically, so that they add up, if you will. It's a pet idea of mine I call addition consciousness, as opposed to subtraction consciousness. If you are presuming to put together the whole picture of the world around you, you can't not put everything in. By definition, the allness contains all things. And so if you're trying to figure it up, add it up, you got to add it all in. And if you don't know where something goes, you just put it in that place where you just label it. I don't know where this goes, but so this goes in the place where everything goes. I don't know how it fits, but there it goes. I will sort it out later somehow. And you know what happens when you put all that stuff in there? At some point, you come across the one piece of information that makes it all sing. And that's kind of what happened. I was describing this yesterday, you know, as we found 2019, my daughter and I are studying A Course in Miracles because we're on to something. We're trying to figure out stuff. We're trying to figure out her life because she's banging around with things, you know, having uncomfortable relationships in, you know, uncomfortable places for, you know, awkward reasons, and you know, wanting success but not understanding why she's not getting it, being consumed by anxiety, panic and anxiety attacks, and although she's brilliant and beautiful, and whatever, she was having issues. And so we were tackling it as a joint thing, but we weren't doing it, like head on, let's try to fix her. It was more like I teamed up with her in a business venture, and her success became my success. As we became one being in a way, and I was roped into really caring about, on a day-to-day basis, what her understandings of the world were and what mine were. But we were just finding really cool things. Paul Levy's work and Gary Zukav's, and I'm on the trail of this. And she shared with me, as well as my husband, a whole day at the conference with Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and Anita Morjani and all of that. It was all very blessed and wonderful. All these things that we got into and shared right before COVID shut the world down. And then as COVID shut the world down, I found the law of attraction. I know a lot of people have known this for a long, long time, but I didn't know it. I didn't know that there was a set of rules that people understood about, what you put out is what you get back. And I was just all putting it together in my own way, adding it up in my own way. I'm not a joiner. I'm not going to go join somebody else's parade. I am a lone wolf, really. I do my work in solitude, and I have been putting all of this together for myself. And I understand that some people have really been on it for a long time. And, who am I to be saying, I have figured it out? But you know what? For me, I have figured it out, and it's really cool for me. I rejected my religion at 14 years old and just opened my mind and did not think about it or worry about it much from that point on. I just figured that life would show itself to me, and that I would just, at some point, I would understand. I just knew that was true. I figured that it was okay. I did not know what it would be like when we die. I still don't know what it's going to be like when we die. All I know for sure is that it's okay. We're all okay. It's going to be okay. It's almost like we're in the scariest movie of our lives. The most challenging puzzle room of our lives. It's cosmic, it's world class, it's universal class. But we're okay. We're okay. I have come to believe Abraham's admonition that there really isn't anything serious going on here. We make way too much of it. And one of the reasons that we do is we are a dramatic species. We love the drama. We love the drama. We are consumed by it. And that's okay. That's okay. If you love the drama, love the drama. But ultimately know that you are okay. It's almost like the spirit of sitting in a movie, in a scary movie, and you can become terrified. But ultimately, that you can walk out of the movie theater and you're fine. And that is exactly what is going on here too. Now it's also like, what's the other thing it's like? I was just on it. I've mentioned this in the last couple of days. The Star Trek episode, it's called Shore Leave. Season 1, episode 16, I think is what it is. Original series, Star Trek. And they come down on this planet. It's really beautiful. And they're looking around. And as they think things, they start appearing. And it's really scary at first. And Bones dies. And everybody's all dramatic and sad. And it turns out that it's really not a problem. What's happening is that Bones got drawn back into the center of the planet. And he got, all fixed, and he comes back out, and he's fine, and he explains what's really going on, that there's nothing serious going on, it's all very safe, it's all but as you think of things, they're gonna happen, so go forth and have fun. They end up all the captain sends everybody down to shore leave, and that is an analogy. Gene Roddenberry's his higher being, his higher self, his imagination. Well, your imagination is vibrational downloads from your higher self. And that's what that was, his higher self showing him an analogy to life experience. Yeah, it is more, a little, you don't just get sucked down to the planet and 10 minutes later you're back. Or a day later. It takes a while to develop your avatar. You should be careful with your avatar. You should love and appreciate your avatar. By the time you developed another one, this moment in time, this sequence of change might be complete. It's not that they're all time exists at the same time, but I still think the universe is changing. Actually, I don't know. I don't want to get too involved in things I don't understand. I was just about to go into a place where I could see it tying my consciousness into a knot. And I'm like, you know what? Let's don't go there. Let's talk about this in a big way. Who am I? And how does my understanding of who I am help me live a more successful, satisfying life as we understand this great organizing force that we can co-create with one another, with all the rest of us, understanding this force that is organizing us. I've been understanding this more, learning about it in the last few days as the family organization is trying to come together in a mutually beneficial cooperative effort. It's a real estate venture, a piece of property that we already own that since we have lost the selling season, and it's not exactly a seller's market at this moment, although I suspect it will be soon, I think next spring is going to be a boom, boom, boom. And in the meantime, we're turning a piece of property that we own into an Airbnb and trying to get it ready to rent by Balloon Fiesta. And all the families pulling together. And, there's a lot of work to do. And there's tensions. And everybody's got their own other stuff that they got going on, too. Trying to, work their jobs and raise their kid and take care of their, kids. Actually, there's more than one kid involved in this whole picture. And my job has been partly to keep the spirit in the right direction, to keep everybody facing forward, to keep everybody focused on the goal of the central goal of the project, and to keep everybody's attitude in a state of positive expectation and positive allowing and all of that. It's been really fun working with it. It's like it is like molding clay, and it's true what Bashar says, and that is that the more that your attitude towards life, personally, your personal attitude toward, because your state of being is everything. It's not the outside world. Now, yes, the conditions in the outside world may ultimately be a target for you to change, but it's not the outside world that's the key here. It's you and your state of being, and what state of being you are in as you address the outside world and attempt to change it. When you can adopt a playful attitude about life and its troubles and its challenges and its, details, if you can develop a playful attitude about it and point your nose in playful directions, the physical conditions of the universe become more clay-like and easier to mold. If you take on a victimized attitude or a harsh attitude, any state of negative emotions causes the malleability factor of the universe to plummet. Your power is in your alignment, not in your action. And the more in negative emotion you are, the more out of alignment you are. It's just your negative emotion is a quality of your misalignment. That's all it is. It's not more existential than that. You have gotten your two selves out of sync with one another. Your physical self should be supportive of what your spiritual self knows to be true about the field. And when you are going against what your spiritual self knows to be true about the physical world, you find yourself in a state of negative emotion. You think it's all kinds of other things. You point to the condition out there going, no, no, no. If that condition would change, I'd feel better. And that is true. And we want that condition to change. We don't want babies dying. We do not want people murdered. We do not want rape, pillage, war, destruction, death, mass extinction, desertification, garbage island, global warming, all of that. We don't want that. We want that to change. But you have to know that this is a vibrational universe. And so it is your feelings that can feel more accurately the physical world than your physical senses can. Did you know that? Your feelings are the best one. However, your feelings are working in tandem with your mind. And so your mind has to have the truth about reality lined up correctly. If you've got all kinds of superstitious nonsense in there in your operating system, your brain is like a computer. And it's an infallible computer in a way, but only if it's aligned properly with the two selves that you are. If you've got crossed energy going on, if you've got garbage ideas at the top of your operating system, you're going to be pumping out garbage at the bottom. It just works that way. But if you would let your brain just kind of rest with your heart and know that what feels good is right. I mean, good. You can tell what feels right. People know you have an internal compass. That internal compass is relative to how well, I do not like this slide, and I really should. It means I've got crossed energy about it. It means I really would like a better illustration. But after the show, I have a hard time just being in it as much as when I'm in. I can't live this way consciously, going into the mechanics of every single thing behind me. I have to turn to the front and face the stuff too. The groceries and the cooking and the kids and the grandkids and the jobs and the life, elections and, bills and blah, 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 all the stuff that everybody else does. But for this moment, during this show, it's like I get to go behind the scenes and just start talking about the structure of who we are. And then later I have to go out and live with it just like everybody else does, I'm going to be like Esther, using my life as an example all the time as to how these things work, but not consciously doing it all the time in the moment. Although I'm sure she consciously, she understands the law of attraction. She knows that it's her. She knows that she's attracting what she's attracting. And actually, it's tight, specific, perfect, and you're doing it, and you could get to the point where you saw every little echo if you focused in that way. That's how come I think she makes such a big deal about such small things, because she knows that it's an attraction mechanism that is operating actively all the time. So when she feels the impulse to do this and then this and then this, and she's just kind of free form following her own, I want to do this. Well, now I want to do this. And now I want to do this. And then she ends up in front of somebody who has a question that's meaningful to Esther. And she goes, oh, that's why my inner being led me here, because she knew I wanted to do this. I'm having so much fun. This is great. This is why I was led to this, because from her perspective, the whole object of the exercise, we are here for the joy. And your inner being is trying to lead you to satisfying moments. That's what you want, your inner being to lead you right to the pot of gold, and you'll take care of the satisfying moments. But that's not exactly how she works. She will lead you to the satisfying moments. And the satisfying moments ultimately may lead you to the pot of gold if it turns out that who you really are is most satisfied by a pot of gold. But it may turn out that what it most satisfies you is maybe to devote your life to the deep study of gorillas in West Africa. Or maybe what's most satisfying to you is to design a better hang glider, or what's most satisfying to you is to I don't know, crack the code on the best Madeleine recipe of all time, or whatever. We should all be following what we care about, what we love, what we want, what feels good. We will lead all of mankind to a joyful, collective, feel-good party. One by one, each one of us has to join the party individually, has to find what feels good to you. You are not insignificant. Do not sacrifice yourself for the whole. Find yourself for the whole. That's really the answer. So, who am I and what do we want to talk about? Oh, I didn't change the slide I hated. I just said I had mixed energy about it and then I didn't show it. It's this one. This is my illustration that the aperture on the left is to me representative of source energy. Your source mind. This is your source mind. The other one, the smaller aperture, gazing specifically into the specifics on the grid, lighting up the grid around you. That one's the one on the right. And both of them are spinning disks of attraction. They are both spinning disks of attraction, and they are both you. One is the original spin that tethers you to all other things. It's your connection to your inner being. And then the little one, that's the physical one, your conscious one that you specifically have control over. And you have control over the only thing that you need to have control of, which is your ability to line the two of you up. That's the only thing you have control over, and it's enough. It can guide your own personal physical life, and it actually is enough to help the whole field come into alignment. It's enough to guide your steps. It's all you have, so it's a good thing. It's all you need. Your alignment is your power. Your ability to line up with reality, to line up with your past, to line up with your present, to line up with who you are, to understand who everybody else is, to understand how reality comes into being. The other thing that's important to understand, and this is going to bring us to the mathematics and the mathematical understanding of the unified physics of a unified universe. A universe that is one thing, that has an energy field that is matrixing us together. And that energy field is this 0-point energy field of roiling Plancks. And when the Plancks organize into spin, we call it matter. We call it protons. A proton is a little black hole. W-H-O-L-E as well as H-O-L-E. It's a little integer, a little fractal integer of wholeness, reflecting all the information of all of the universe. In the Planck field, of every proton is reflected all the information of all of the protons in all of the universe. Probably why it looks like you can't create matter just willy-nilly. It doesn't, I mean, you do create, well, never mind. I didn't say that sentence. I was gonna illuminate something else, but it's gonna be too confusing, and I'm coming into that topic from the wrong direction, so I won't do that. Who am I? And how does this work? I believe that our true understanding, our faith in there being an answer, we don't seem to have faith that there is an answer. We're just all pushing back against all these things that all right, are you going to be watching me? Little bug over there. I was going to go over and kill that bug. I decided I was no longer going to kill the bugs during the show. All right, he's moving now. I have these elm seed bugs that sort of take over, and they get into the house, and then I don't know, they're all over the place. They're pretty benign. They don't bite. They don't sting. I don't know what they eat. They don't seem to be taking big bites out of anything. I don't know what they smell funny when you smash them. Anyway, I digress. Keep it together, Amelie. We're still in the air. As a matter of fact, we are 51 minutes into our day's flight. We'll be at it for at least another 40 minutes. 37 minutes from now, I've got to make a quick phone call. But I don't have to talk to anybody. I just have to make the phone ring. It's my version of an alarm clock now for my husband. Who am I? How does this work? How does this work? And what does the 0-point energy field have to do with me? It has a lot to do with you, because in actual fact, that's what you're made of too. And you may not think it's important to be able to consciously imagine who we are, and it really isn't important. If everyone was good at just leaning into their joy, knowing who they are from a positive standpoint, being their positive self and following their bliss, using their guidance system the way it was meant to be used, if everybody was good at that, then everybody doesn't have to know everything. It's why we specialize. I don't have to know the inner workings of an internal combustion engine, really. I don't really have to know that. I don't have to know how my electricity works if I flip the switch. There's a lot of things I don't have to know. However, I don't think that's what's happening. I think there's a lot of unhappy people who do not understand their equipment. And that's why I'm going to do this show for the rest of my life, because I want to be in alignment with the rest of the field around me. I absolutely am committed to being in alignment with myself for the rest of my life. And it would be so much more fun if more people were in alignment with themselves. I want us to play on planet Earth. I don't want us to suffer. I want us to create abundance, not lack. I want us to understand this is not a competition, it's a cooperation. I want us to understand that we're here for the joy, not the suffering. That when we ask, Source answers. When we have problems, Source gives us answers. And you just have to have faith, just understand that the answer is going to come in vibrational form, not physical form. You're the one who has to translate it into a physical. But anything's possible, because this Planck field is this freaking made up 3D thing going on that's moving by desire. Desire is what is making it what it is. The formless within the form and the desires that it has is what's moving it. And it's all positive. The negative is just our view of what the negative, the demon, the darkness is actually only what thought looks like without the element of your inner being added in. The actual truth of the matrix, the grid, the situation, is that we are all vibrationally connected. We're all in this together forever and ever and ever and ever, and there is nothing that can sever that. Nothing that can change that. And so even though there might be places in your mind where you can go without your inner being and it looks really scary and it looks really mean and it looks really horrifying, in truth, the Planck field that is not the place where your inner being isn't that you're imagining, that's the reality that rules. It really is okay. We really are okay. You're not going to get sucked into a vortex of darkness. There are storms of chaos that will blow by. And some of them will be stronger than others. Some of them will be so strong that they're very hard to resist. I see the World War last century, parts 1 and 2, as one of those kinds of things, one of those kinds of storms. So freaking strong that it was hard for people to, that was. So how do you weather a storm like that? Well, remember you are this. You are this. You are these two beings. And the way you weather the storm is you line these two up. You line your spirit self up with your material self. And don't do it from anybody else's say-so. Don't do it from any position of anybody else saying, this is what you should do. That's what you should do. No. I'm not going to tell you what any physical action that you should do is. That's the difference. I will not tell you what any physical action you should do is. The only thing I will tell you is that you are these two beings and you need to line them up. And then from that position of being in alignment, then follow whatever impulse or idea you get from there. I can't say what anybody else should do from any other position because I'm not standing in your position on the grid and I'm not getting your signal from source pure from where you are. Only from where you are can you get that pure signal. And so everyone has to call their own path. Everyone has to call their own path. And if you are lost and you don't know how to call your path, well, that's what the show is all about. The way you get unlost is know with a capital K that you are your inner being. That vibrational self that's connected to everything else, that's you. That's you. But you own a particular center of an individuated your personal individuated center of a center. You have a center of spin that is all your own. You have your source self, you have your individual self. And what the whole field needs you to do is go into your individual self and be it. Be it in physicality, be it in real life, be it in joy. Throw yourself into it. Know that there is a blessed organizing force that is spinning us into beautiful order. It is spin. There's two kinds of spin, and I don't know if this is an ultimate read or if this is just has to do with being a human being. But to a human being, there are two kinds. There are two vortices of organization, you could say. One is a coherent one, and one is a chaotic one. And one creates a storm pattern, like a hurricane that is going to blow through the neighborhood and knock it all down. The other one is a cohering, organizing force, making it more and more organized. The other one is blowing it out. And from a human being's perspective, we have these two things. We could minimize the storm one, the negative organizational storm pattern. Excuse me, I have hiccups trying to be born in me, and I do not want hiccups. I don't like hiccups. I have to go do a wedge of lime with Angostura bitters and make them go away. I don't want to do that. So there's these two kinds of organizational structures. One is coherent and the other one is chaotic. And when you line up with the two beings that you are and act from an aligned state of your inner spirit action flowing through reality the way it actually works, and then you are a force of coherence. If you're out of alignment with yourself, if what you believe about reality, let's say for instance you think it's a finite pie. Say you think it's survival of the fittest, and it's all a competition to see who has the right to survive and all others should die or whatever. If those kind of paradigms are what you're working on, that's not in alignment with the field. It really isn't in alignment with the truth of reality. And so it's actually going to end up being who you really are is love. Who you really are is peace. Who you really are is joy. Who you really are is fun. Who you really are feels safe. All of those things. That's who you really are. That being that feels that way, that's who you really are. Now here in this density, we can get scattered all over so that you're being a piece of you here and a piece of you there and a piece of you somewhere else. But really what you'll need to do during the course of your life somehow, and Greg Braden assures us that it is a primary motivation. It's not something that you have to try to want to do. It's just a thing that you're going to want to do, is pull yourself together. Pull all your scattered parts from wherever you have left them and pull them together and become your integrated wholeness self. That's what you're going to want to do. And so if you've lived a long time and you've been negative a lot of it, some of it's going to be a little tricky to do. Because some of it may be left behind you in the road. You have left your love behind you in the road. That ex-husband that you hate now, or that ex-wife that you hate now, the fact is you loved them once. And your love is back there in the road somewhere, and it contains a seed that's going to help you understand who you are. And if you keep it gobbed up in that hatred that you have for your ex, you're never going to find yourself. You got to go back and find the love in the road. That doesn't mean that you need to have anything to do with them. Maybe they're batshit crazy and they really are a destructive force in your life and you need to physically stay away from them. That's okay. When I say you need to love everybody, some of them you need to love farther away from you than others, because And your own inner being will order that for you with your impulses to keep you farther away from the dangerous ones and closer up to the more satisfying, fulfilling ones, the ones that have the immediate lessons that you're ready to have, that you want to have, or that will lead you to the most satisfying moments. Your inner being is trying to order you, trying to make order of the chaos. And what it is it's a multiplicitude of individuated spins that are all needing to line up in an order that only Source knows. And the reason Source knows this order is because we are all anchored in this here. I'm going to go back to the picture. Oh, not that picture. This picture. That Source self, we all have that one in common. I'm just experiencing the vibration from a center point from where I'm standing on the grid, and you're getting the impulse from somewhere else on the grid. But that Source one is common to us. That one on the right, that's the specific one that's unique to every one of us. And the whole picture needs you to find your specific self. I know that I am crying this out to my own self. I know that I am. Of course I am. Of course I am. This is actually my favorite picture. It reminds me of gazing out at the Indian Ocean at 13 years old in Mombasa, when I was young and my parents lived there for 2 years, and I was so full of yearning. And I was by myself on the beach, looking out to sea with my skinny body and my long straight hair. 13 years old. This girl could be 13 years old. Now, I don't remember it looking like that. There was no autumn tree dropping, golden leaves on my head. Wasn't anything like that. I don't remember the moon being quite that big. But still, this picture reminds me of that. Who are we? We are such a blend. We're such a blend. We are whimsical, and we are hard-nosed, and we are matter-of-fact and ordinary, and we are magical and mystical. And who am I? Who am I? And then once you answer that question, who am I? Then you got to go answer the other question. Well, who am I? Who am I then? If that's true, if that who am I is true, then who am I? Specific little me. And what's the meaning of my life? And how can I help Project Humanity move itself forward in a joyful, co-creative, blessed, harmonious, and loving way? Well, I think we need to understand ourselves. I think that our lack of understanding ourselves causes us to behave way differently. When we have negative emotion, instead of understanding that it is a function of our own internal alignment with ourselves, we believe that it's somebody else that has to change because it's that condition out there, and if it would change, I would feel better. And so you go out and you try to muscle around the world while your face is still angry and nothing ever gets better. Gee, I wonder why. The universe is a mirror. It's a cosmic freaking mirror. So perfect. So absolutely fair and just and perfect in every way. If you want to look out at a smiling universe that is smiling back at you with loving, kind human beings who are operating efficiently in an abundant and beautiful, co-creative Eden here on earth that we re-garden and rediscover. If you want that kind of a world, if you want a world that's smiling at you, you have to smile. You can't get in there and force that mirror to smile, damn it! You can't do that. It's all you. And then in a small way that will become a bigger way, you will start having a positive effect on the coherence factor of the field around you. It's the only thing you have. You have the ability to cause the field around you to become more coherent or more chaotic. And it all depends on what state of being you find yourself in. That is the indicator of which direction you are flying your starship of light through this eternal universe. The way you can tell which direction you're going, there's only two directions you can go. Where you want to go, forward, or where you don't want to go, backwards. Those are the only two directions you can go. And you can tell which way you're going by how you feel. If you're in a positive emotion, you are facing forward, go for it. Get specific, get into it. But the very instant you find yourself in a negative, it happened right then. There's a moment when it happened. And it happened when you picked up a particular thought. Now you think it's all wound up with all the rest of it, and you're looking at stuff, and so you never realized that it was a thought that you picked up that turned your vibration from the positive it was to the negative it is now. Immediately stop right there. If you can learn to really hate that feeling, really hate that feeling of negative emotion, then the very instant you get it, you go, oh, and you're still right there at the thought, and you go, what was the source of this thought? This thought does not feel like it's coming from source. This thought feels like it just came from my fearful mind. There are only two directions. There are only two origin points of any thoughts. They either come from love or they come from fear. Now, I know it's really hard to differentiate sometimes which are coming from love and which are coming from fear. Now, there's a story, I think, that illustrates this a little bit, and it involves a couple of my early gurus, both Oprah and Gary Zukav. And Oprah, just because she was so good at, sussing out really interesting people and bringing them to her platform. She was really good at that. She brought me Deepak Chopra. She brought me Dr. Phil too. And she did not bring me Joseph Campbell. I found that one on my own. Did she bring me Gary Zukav? Maybe. Ultimately, when I found him, there was a wealth of material, wonderful, wonderful conversations between him and Oprah. And one of them was, they were talking about this, the root of intentions, and how it's important to know what the root of what you're doing, where it's coming from. If it's coming from fear, it's a poison well. If it's coming from love, great, go with it. And the example was being on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Ooh, I'm going to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show. I want to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Why do I want to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show? Well, if your answer is, because I want to make my parents proud of me, that, even though it's not really obvious that is so, that is a motivation based in fear. It's based in lack. It's coming from you not feeling that you are good enough, and you want to show your parents that you are. There is a crossed energy configuration there, that if you let that, even though it looks so innocuous, if you moved on that intention from that direction and let it build, the momentum of that would show you at some point the poison pill inside of that thought. If you want to go on Oprah Winfrey because I want to do that, I've always wanted to do that, that sounds like so much fun, that's the motivation you're looking for. Now, I know it's hard, especially if you're homeless or you're, being beat by your spouse, or you've got a passive of howling kids around you, and, you're just in so deep, and what the hell are you going to... There still is only one answer, and your inner being could help you find the way out. You just have to line up with her. You have to know that this physical life is not ultimately who you are. It's almost what you're wearing. And you are attracting whatever you're attracting, and you have chosen this experience because ultimately what your intention is, the object of your exercise is, I want to know who I am, and I want to know how this works, because I sense that I am part of a magical, unlimited universe. And therefore, if I understand how that works, then I can create whatever life I want, for me, for us, for all of us. But know this, you are not alone. You are a field. You are a field phenomenon, and the whole field comes with you. So that's why it's so important to act and behave in alignment with its flow. Because you can't separate yourself from it. You are a part of it. You are a part of the pattern that is flowing with you. You can't get away from that. You are part of the world of this planet, the biofield of this planet, the biofield, the morphogenetic field of humanity. You're a part of Earth. You are part of this solar system. You belong to this galaxy, and ultimately to this universe, and then to the multiverse. You are a child of the multiverse. You are an eternal being. You will be here forever and ever. If you could find a way to identify with your permanent self, primarily, and then secondarily with your physical self, you would find yourself in true alignment with all of the materiality spinning around you. And you could find yourself in really, really, really satisfying situations somehow. I know. We're working on one right now, and I can just see this is going to be so much fun. It really is. We're going to turn this into a fab little Airbnb. And then not only that, we're going to have the record keeping of what we did and how much it made. And this is how much the mortgage, this is how much it costs, and this is how much it can yield you. And we can even set it up so that they can have a place. I can live here and have a place that I rent to people on the side to help me pay my mortgage. It's just going to be so much fun. And then when the true real estate selling season comes back around, next season, we're going to be on it. We're going to make tons more than we would have just a little while ago. So instead of thinking of what just happened as a failure, it's not a failure. We haven't got it wrong. It ain't done. It ain't done. It ain't done. That's what Abraham means. You can't get it wrong because you never get it done. And one of these days, we're going to line this up right. And right now we've got a team. The family team has been roped in, both in physicality and in spirit. Everybody's got their... We'll just see. I'll let you know next year. Did we make a ton of money? Did all that turn out well? Or did it instead, was the success of it to lead you to the next step that's leading to something even freaking bigger than that? And what do you want? What do you want to spend your time doing? I actually don't want to be at the head of a billion-dollar empire, I don't think. It sounds like too much work to me. Not unless it really is the kind of thing where I can just sit back in the hub of stillness and direct all the action on the wheel around me. That would be all right. Other than that, I mean, I am a hermit. I love being a hermit. I love my sanctuary space. I'm not a joiner. I've put all this together on my own, and I resist joining other groups right now because I want to keep the authenticity of my single vision, the one that I came to by myself, without, huge helpings of other people's systems. I swallowed them, and I talk about the ones that I have swallowed and their ideas. I love their ideas. Carl Jung and his authoritarian psychosis. It's really an important concept. I thought it was going to be more important if we were fixing to elect the dictator wannabe, but I don't think we're going to do that, actually. I think that the momentum is on the side of the much, much younger, more positive, cheerful, good-looking person than the angry, doddering old man full of grievance, whining about this and that and the other thing. I don't think that the authoritarian wannabe is going to be elected anymore, and so we're not going to have another harsh lesson yet. But this cycle is going to come back around again, and there's going to be a better one next time, wielding the message of the negative one. And we got to watch out. We need to know who we are. We need to know what we... Authoritarian psychosis is actually another word for the same condition Paul Levy calls wetiko. It's also the condition that and the way I pull this, I did not come up with the expression crossed energy myself. That's one I got from Abraham. But the concept, I wield the concept differently than others do. I focus in on it a little more, with a little more of a fine-tooth comb. The idea of crossing your energy. The crossed energy is just those two apertures not being in alignment. Now, there's a crossing that happens like back and forth, or there's a like where the two completely part ways and lock into opposite positions. That's almost what Hitler did. It might even be what Hitler did, and it might even be what creates an antichrist, is where they lock out of position. Your physical, what you decide, you draw a line under the whole thing and you lock it in over there in that negative side. And now you are dependably, every single step of the way, stepping 180 degrees away from the direction that your inner being would like you to go. Now, ultimately, all things have value. And that total shit show of World War that we did last century, along with Nazi ideology, Holocaust, master race, world domination, all that whole thing, the way that played out, served a powerful positive purpose from this perspective. That's a lot of P words. Because it serves as an illustration of a very raw illustration of who we are and what happens when we do not understand ourselves and go that way. Oh my effing God. We do not ever want to do that again. And my study of the Holocaust did not end up with me coming to conclusions that we are bad. That is absolutely not the conclusion that I came to after studying the Holocaust. What I came to the conclusion of is that this business of not being in alignment with who we really are, that's serious. We really, really need to understand this. We need to understand who we are, and we need to understand what this energy stream is, and we need to not cross it. And God help us should we ever cross it and lock into that ever again. We should never, ever do that. We do that and we will destroy ourselves. We will destroy the world. And then maybe we become this cosmic lesson for illustration. I hate the word lesson, but a cosmic illustration of what happens when you do not know who you are. Now, we sort of came by this honestly, because the very fact that we do not understand who we are, I think, is a byproduct of the fact that somebody genetically modified us a couple of 100,000 years ago, and no wonder we don't know who we are. We did not develop incrementally over eons and eons of time, knowing every step of the way, where we were, who we were, how we got there, what was forming. That's not how we developed. Somebody did a little innocent, was it innocent? Tweak on us, gave us a neocortex, tweaked our chromosome number 2, fused a couple of ape chromosomes together and got a more advanced chromosome out of it, and the result of which is our neocortex plumped up significantly. Our neocortex mind is our overview mind. That mind that can see the bigger picture, that can think and spin thoughts from a bigger picture. That's what our neocortex is. So it wasn't an accident that that's what they did to us. It also explains why pretty much all of our DNA appears to be, or at least all of the DNA that I know of, somebody may know of something else peculiar within our genetic makeup. Ooh, this thing over here doesn't appear to even fit on planet Earth. I don't know about anything like that. I don't know about any alien DNA or anything like that. What I do know is that human chromosome number 2 is fused, and it's fused in a very fishy way. In a way that doesn't look like it could have easily happened on accident. Greg Braden points out some really astronomically high improbability factor. How unlikely. Like, it's almost more unlikely that a monkey, given enough time, is going to tap out the works of Shakespeare, which they're not. I don't care how much time goes by, because that coherence comes from a different side. A hurricane blowing around stuff in a junkyard is never going to put together a 747, because the 747 came about by way of a vortex of coherent energy. A hurricane is a vortex of chaotic energy, and they're different. One's the spin going in, the other one's the spin coming out. They're different. They're different. So who am I? I'm that spin in between. What does it matter if we were genetically modified? Well, it's interesting. Actually, it's really interesting. I think it's fun. If we were genetically modified some 200,000 years ago, it means we do have a history of extraterrestrial visitation on planet Earth. Now we can start really looking at the world around us with an open, eager, interested mind. Now we don't have to interpret the pyramids, for instance, in that dry, horrible, nothing to see here, this was just us being a few thousand years old, developing from, whatever, no extraterrestrials, no... Ooh, and that's why I have to do that. I gotta call my husband, and then I gotta finish up. Dang it, I was right on a roll. Hold on. Anyway, I'm not going to leave it at that. I'm almost at an hour and a half. I'm not going to just drop us right there. Yeah, now we get to think about, extraterrestrials really have been here. That means that we can honestly and collectively start interpreting some of the really interesting things around the planet in a more expansive way. We don't have to keep, I know how the pyramids were made, and I've figured it. No, it's exciting and interesting. The universe is so much more interesting than we have been giving it credit for. And we are so much more interesting. Every single one of us potentially is standing in a vehicle, especially as a human being. We've been granted something very special. And potentially every one of us is standing in a place where, in alignment, you are at the powerful center of your very own magical, creative universe. And then if we would all come together as such a being collectively, oh my gosh, we have no problems that we cannot solve from this position. There are no problems that we cannot solve on planet Earth. And I'll tell you right now, the mathematics has been done. The mathematics of the unification of the quantum and cosmological worlds has been done. And it's a beautiful roadmap to everything from production of goods and... Oh, what is this? I need money. Okay. All right. Okay, hold on a second. I have to go take care of somebody. It remains to be seen when I come back how well I'll be able to remember exactly where I was, but I'll come back in just a minute and we'll finish the show. So I'm back. I'm back. You probably didn't even really miss me. But my head's gone into a different space, so I'm going to cut this show short, I believe. My own day is starting to encroach on me, and my own specificality is a calling. But I'll be back tomorrow to talk about this some more, because I really believe that a better understanding of who we are will help everything be better. It's like, why wouldn't it be? It's like, if you learn how to use the equipment, then everything works so much better than when you just don't know how to use the equipment. So it just makes sense to me. I think we can get off fossil fuels. I think we can peacefully lean into the organizing force that is organizing us. And I'm going to talk about it some more tomorrow. I'm a little distracted now, so I think I need to get off the air. I just want you to remember this one thing. Remember that we all create our own unique reality within the one reality that we all share. We are dreaming this common reality into place. So let's learn how it works so that we can quit nightmaring it into place instead. And with that, I'm going to leave you, and I hope until next time, may the source be with you.